Hi, this is RGK and today we'll talk about Dead Cells. I already recorded a video when it appeared in early access, but now the game saw its final release. But during its surprise appearance a bit more than a year ago and its release now, the little world of roguelites did not stand still. During my previous video, I was complimenting Dead Cells for not obfuscating basic info such as weapon statistics and this sort of things. But now the effect of Isaac has withered and has become more commonplace not to obfuscate. Dead Cells is globally very predictable and does not fall into the trap of leaving everything to chance, with small improvements like always the possibility to heal at the end of a level. But then there is the opposite problem. From being too predictable, each run looks similar. It would not be a bother if the game was short, but after hours and hours I've had enough of playing through the first level over and over. Worse, the meta progression is dreadful. You can find blueprints to unlock new weapons, which is fine. Problem is, to upgrade weapons and health and other abilities, at the end of a level you have to pay with the souls of fallen enemies. Now imagine, upgrading a health potion from one rank to the next can cost about 240 souls. You can find about 14 souls in the first level, so you have to play the first level 17 times to unlock just one rank of one of the many items to upgrade. Okay, sure, in the later levels there are more souls than in the first one, but if you die before completing a level, you lose the unspent souls. And the levels are quite long, which doesn't help to prevent fatigue from setting in. I can smell the repugnant taste of grind when it looks me in the eyes, and I find this disgusting. I can only wonder whether this system was put in place during the early access to keep hardcore players busy between updates, but it's a stain on the final release. When I reviewed Into the Breach, I concluded that there will be a before and an after Into the Breach. I was thinking mostly of the little world of tactics games, but it's also true for roguelite mechanics. In Into the Breach, I used squads with a different gameplay, and each had its own secondary objectives, such as killing 4 enemies with one single laser shot or pushing an enemy into the water. It was definitely not grind, and orienting my way to play made each run feel vastly different. Just like in Overwhelm, it was possible to choose in which order to tackle the levels, which allowed to add a layer of strategy without being bored by always starting in the same location. There are also games like Mother Gunship or I Hate Running Backwards that let you go back to approximately where you were in the campaign. All of this to say that a year ago, Dead Cells was a breath of fresh air in the world of roguelites, but it's not the case anymore today. Even worse, the game is lagging behind. Another issue that stays from the early access days is that there are mysterious things to interact with in the levels, but nothing happens and no one comes and says which level is required to unlock the power that will grant passage. It's nothing too bad. You can understand fairly quickly that each boss will have an unlock for you in the vein of other metroidvania games. I will use this opportunity to point out that Dead Cells is not strictly a metroidvania, as it is not possible to travel back to previously cleared levels, but it's not a big deal. The levels themselves are very well built, with teleporters ideally located to navigate quickly, and in between the level design and the feel of the game, it's a legitimate successor to the Castlevania series. Combats are intense and brutal, with a lot of tactical possibilities. There is a dodge roll, but also a double jump, or you can use a shield in defense. All these movement possibilities are unlocked right from the start, which is still a huge advantage in comparison to most roguelite games that force players to start in a really weak and boring state. To elaborate on tactical possibilities, you can quickly find all sorts of grenades or powers like traps or defensive turrets. It allows everyone to play according to their favorite style while giving a lot of depth to the game. There are even random attributes that can create devastating combinations, such as a thingy to burn and another one to deal extra damage against burning monsters. All sorts of weapons allow varying the playstyle, thankfully since it's the only source of variety in the game. The game recommends playing with a controller, but I felt like an octopus with all the buttons under my tentacles. Eventually, I felt much more comfortable with keyboard and mouse. Monsters and bosses are all interesting to learn and fight. I only regret that some monsters can shoot through walls before you can even find the passage leading to them. I will end with the graphics. It looks like pixel art, but it's amazingly well animated 3D, although I was not fond of the goofy body language of the main character when talking to someone. Regardless, it's absolutely gorgeous, both eerie and epic with great lighting and particles. We are reaching the conclusion. As you might have noticed, I am less enthused by the game now than when I first played it, because I find it too repetitive and geared towards arbitrary and useless grind. Other roguelites have since evolved the formula, and it's a shame that Dead Cells was content with only minor changes. Due to its excellent violent combat, it remains one of the best roguelite games and one of the best Castlevania-inspired games, so I should not complain too much, or you might think that it's a bad game. On the contrary, it's a little gem with empowering combat and graphically stunning with its well-designed castles, and all of this right from the first steps in the game. I just knew that most reviewers will focus on the positives without wondering where the game could have done better. So yeah, I recommend this game. Even though fatigue eventually sets in, it's a must-have. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!